We have a funny story to tell here for CodeSoju, and I think you saw the name, and I'm sure all of you wondering why we call it CodeSoju. And my name is Ashraf Souleiman, as Carl introduced me. And we have two Twitter handles, one for CodeSoju and one for myself. Please follow if you would like to know more about CodeSoju and what we're doing. But basically, what we did is we were engaged in really a kind of large implementation of Angular Node.js for a big financial company, an investment company. And that went live last July. And after the project went live, we sat together as a developer, and we were sitting in a Korean barbecue place. And we were having a soju, which is a drink, right? And we started thinking about, we learned a lot from the community, especially when it comes to Angular and Node.js. We also learned a lot when we were implementing these projects. There's a lot of best practices that you need to learn, and there's never, ever you can do it right from the first time. So we came back and we said, how can we start an internal project to come up with all of these best practices that we learned from the project, and two, to help our developers and other developers, the entire community, to start from something for the next project. So we came up with this CodeSoju as an internal project, and then we made it an open source once we have something to share with the community. And it is, if you go to codesoju.io is the website, you'll find all of the information there about the community. You can download it. You can get the GitHub. You can also download the NPM package. There is a lot of also the documentation, which is a Gitbook documentation. And what basically it does, it gets you all of this kind of best practices in a way that you can consume as a tools as well as documentation. So the two artifacts coming from CodeSoju basically is a human generator that can help you to generate a scaffolding folder or scaffolding application. And second one is a set of documentation that you can go through as a best practices. And every best practices we implemented into CodeSoju, we documented into the Gitbook, right? So if you need to understand why we use gulp, right, not grant, then you can go and you will see an article why we used it, right? So the big picture of that, we were trying to say, OK, I'm sure all of us learned something new in their projects that no one else did it before, right? We are welcoming everybody, not us only. We're welcoming everybody to contribute to CodeSoju, right? Making it open source, it's shared with everyone. But we'd like also the entire community to share their experience, their best practices, learn, use it in their projects, and get back also with the feedback. Okay? The entire vision is we hopefully, in every aspect of the project, the entire life cycle of the project, we can get someone to contribute something, right? In the CodeSoju Gitbook, it does not have all of the kind of topics that we are talking about here as a big picture. Being very optimistic here, we want to cover every aspect of the SDLC when it comes to an application, a UI application. But anything you can guys contribute to, that would be very welcome. One thing is, I'm a cloud architect. And one thing, usually when I work with customers, is always a struggle to get something up and running quickly to show the customer what we're doing, especially in the cloud, right? So start thinking about if we can create something to get us an application, a decent application, to show it to the customer, and be able to deploy it to the cloud quickly, right? And then we go and start deleting what we don't need from the application and add what we need to show to the customer. Whenever I ask my team to do like a project, a quick project, CodeSoju, boom, boom, OK, I have a page for you. I'm going to show you what we have developed here. Okay? So that's the whole idea. I use human generator to speed up this kind of steps. You just answer a couple of questions. You have the code. You can change it. You can deploy it in another kind of one operator. And I'm going to show you the demo right now. You have it running immediately. So what you get from the generator is a scaffolding folder, right? Also deployment to the cloud. We're using CloudFoundry for now. But we're also trying to support the other cloud platform. Like we're also supporting AWS, but we're also trying to support Google Cloud as well. Right now, CodeSoju meant to generate Angular 1, Angular 2 and also Cordova, and also we're looking for native script. We see a lot of adoption for native script as well. We are in progress, Angular 2. It will come soon because we had to change. It was delivered already, so we were publishing also Angular 2. But we had to take it back and disable it for the moment. I'm sure everyone knows that Angular 2 and Angular materials, it changes every day. So we had to go like, OK, we need to refactor all of this stuff and come up with the Angular 2, the updated stuff, right? But it is coming soon, very soon. And the Cordova is supported, and native script also is going to be soon added to that. And it will be all into the same NPM and all the same into GitHub. One of the also, when I try to show a customer, I cannot show the customer any functionality without authorization. I cannot say, here is your application. No one will log in, will be able to see everything, right? And authorization was one of the challenges usually when you build an application. So we kind of used Auth0, which is kind of a SaaS offer for authorization. And they have very good coverage for Angular 1, Angular 2, Node.js, and all of these kind of technologies. And they have REST APIs to communicate with. So when you generate the CodeSoju, you will have the Auth0 code into your application. And we try to do in the demo, if everything works, we're going to show you how can you add the logging quickly to your CodeSoju and push it to the cloud. Contentful also is one of the features that you try to use it also when you're working with the real customers. Is that I want to show them how they're going to update their content. They're not going to ask the developer to change the content. So we used Contentful, another SaaS offer. They have a free tier as well. They can use it for a demo or a POC quickly. And also they provide a REST API for everything. We talked about the Git book, and it has all the best practices. Guys, go through it. Send me any feedback or send us any feedback if you have about it. OK? So how that works in the cloud. So once we do the Yeoman generator, or we generate the code, this is what you will get. You will get an app that has the client side and the server side. And that allowed us also to generate the mobile part as well. So because the client can be a web or can be a mobile kind of mobile app, right? The server will be always the node side, right? Or whatever you need to create in the API from the server side. If you add the manifest to your application that is ready to be pushed to the cloud, now you have a CloudFoundry app that you can use Pivotal, you can use Bluemix, you can use all of this kind of CloudFoundry platform to push your application. Google also support right now also you run Pivotal as well in their Google Cloud, right? So you also can use that to push your application. As I mentioned, we support also AWS. And when it comes to AWS, we try to do it differently. To take the whole node application and deploy it as it is, right? You can do it easily. But we try to take also the difficult route. The difficult route is, in most of the application right now, they are thinking about how can I utilize the Lambda function, right? Which is the function as a service to run my server side. So we separated the client side to be an S3 bucket. We do all the code in Lambda function, right, as a function as a service. And every time the user needs something from the server, S3 will call the Lambda through the API gateway, serve back your function. That's cost-wise. You can have, this is really the best. Like 1 million transaction will cost you like 20 cents. There is no server. I only use my application whenever someone requests me. And S3 is only also by storage. We believe this is the way and the direction that application will go in the future. Everyone will evolve. Everyone will support as a function as a service. And they will support this pattern. So we did that. And if anyone is interested, we can definitely show him the full, okay, for how did we do it, and all support. All right, roadmap, Angular 2, as we said, coming soon, very soon. Native script also very soon. We're working on it, like in maybe a few weeks, we should have something. We're doing also Google Cloud deployment, which is kind of a native. And also, we're opening the contribution for every one of you guys to contribute. All right. So basically, I assume that the developer already went into the NPM, right? And looked into the NPM and they followed the steps to be basically to install U, which is the Yeoman generator. and install the generator, which is CodeSoju. Okay, so this is the two kind of prerequisition to use the CodeSoju. So I did that already, so I'm not gonna wait for the download. So just running u, okay, and then it will list all the human generators that I have, and I say CodeSoju. There's no lag. Okay, so Angular meetup demo. I will ask you Angular 1 or Angular 2, and again, it's a disable and coming soon, and or Cordova mobile. So I'm going to use the Angular 1 for now. And this is downloading all the NPM modules that it needed to run the app. So the Angular CLI will help you to build a component and show it into the kind of as a component, right? What we're trying to do is to build an application, a full application, right, with access to Auth0 and all of this stuff. When we do with the Angular 2, we'll use the CLI. We'll embed the CLI as part of it. We will add all the integration that we don't have in the CLI to that to have a full functional application, not only just the component that you are developing. Any other question?
Is it for, I have a question. Is this Windows only, or is it Mac as well?
Anywhere you can run any Node.js and Angular, it runs. So it runs in everywhere. So you can run Linux, Mac, Windows, whatever. You can run NPM and Node.js. It will run. All right. OK, we try to make it real, and that's the cost of making it real, right? Yeah. All right. There you go. Now the application should run. If I go back to my window here and say localhost, so that's the application that we have, right? Has navigation, footer, wherever you will need in a normal kind of an application. You will have a also left navigation. We'll have some dashboard that you have and you might use in your application. You can configure it, you can customize it, use all of this, right? A sample of a form, a sample of I'm connecting to a content management, right? And also a news, and this is the content fold. All of that, you have the code. So if I just switch back and say, OK, open for me the project that we just generated, to have a look is what we've been generating right now. That's the whole kind of the entire project that's been generating. Taking fine. OK, the client. And here in the app, you see the assets where all the pictures, the auth folder, where's the Auth0, CM content, the feeds, the home, the landing. We try to make it as simple as everyone can spot where he needs to change, and he can change. And also, if you go to the Git book, you'll find where you need to change, right? So let's do a very simple change for now. Let's go to the landing page and say that, all right, in the landing page, let's say maybe we're adding kind of changing a normal text, and then we'll go to the difficult part. Maybe we can make this one bigger. So in 20 minutes, and we save all. If refresh here, that should be refreshed. All right, in 20 minutes. OK. So the next step is for me to add the auth kind of configuration. And by the way, all of this described here, so you don't need to remember all of these steps. Here's the steps. We documented all the steps that you need to change and you need to do in order to enable the authentication. If you go through here, the client into the auth after you sign up, right? You need to create a client. And after you create the client, you will need to basically provide your domain and your client ID. Okay? And also, once you deploy this one to any cloud, you need to add this one to the cores, right? And also to the allowed callback. So if whatever is the host name of the application has to be added here. So it allows the callback and allow also the cross-origin kind of access. Right? So let's try to do quickly if we can change this one And in order to do that quickly, I pretty much have that. So we go to the app. According to documentation, we have to go to the app.js. And here we'll section initiate, right? That when we will provide the domain and the client ID. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to go here into the app and just copy the whole section, just to avoid any double quotes, any single quotes problems, right? And the entire block. And all what it changes the client ID and the domain. Oh, right this. Okay. Save this one. There's one more step we need to do as well, is to go to the shared services. And we use the toggle to be able to disable the functionality of the authorization and the authentication if we don't need, right? Sorry, the authentication. So I'm going to turn that to true. If you need the content management, also need to turn that true and follow the steps. Just save all and pray that everything is going to work. Here you go. Because I was logged in, so it recognized me. Now if I log in again, it will ask me which user you want to use, right? And if you're wondering where does these users are coming from, it's coming from here. We configure all of that here into the users and rules and all of this stuff. Here you go. I logged in. It recognized me. And I can log out now. In order to deploy that to CloudFoundry, as simple as just say, here, you, CodeSoju, deploy, dash, test. I wrote that correctly. Will ask me now, what's the application? Angular meetup app. And this is basically we are generating the manifest.yaml, right? It will tell me, okay, how many memory you want to allocate, and just use cf push. I'm already logged into one of the CloudFoundry provider. That will take this application, deploy it to the CloudFoundry. Okay. If I go to the, is uploading right now. If I go back to starting the app, if I go back to the dashboard of this platform, which is happen to be the IBM, where you can use the Pivotal, you can use any CloudFoundry enabled platform, I should be able to see my application. I should be able also to see it starting. Angular meetup, not running now, is starting. Will take a couple of seconds. Updates is creating, and once it's started, I can be able to access it from the cloud. All right, so recap. We're able to use the generator to generate an Angular 1 application with all the Angular kind of code that we needed. Node.js, we have an integration to Auth0. We have integration to Contentful, which is a content management solution. Be able to deploy it to a CloudFoundry. And now we have the application also running into a CloudFoundry. Yep, thank you.